All right, guys, kind of a short, sweet video today. Last couple have been pretty long. Short and sweet today. I can't afford to get into strip till, even though I like the theory. And to that, at this point, whenever anybody tells me that, I say that's a line of malarkey. Before we get into it, August 2nd through the 4th, I will be at the National Strip Till Conference. I'll have a fun little classroom. If you haven't been to any of my presentations, you are missing life. You will laugh, you will cry, you will cheer. It'll be an hour of an emotional roller coaster, and you will leave feeling happy, a little bit exhausted, and a lot refreshed. We will cover, in my classroom, I'm going to cover some of the nutrient management stuff through the Haney testing and foliar feeding and moving away from mainstream corporate ag. And then how does the strip till fit in with my cattle and cover cropping and soil health and bio stripping and all that kind of stuff. If you come to see me at Bloomington, Illinois, August 2nd to the 4th, I'll pay you $50 each and every one of you. It's like a little Mr. Beast here. $50 to anyone that comes and sees me. How are we going to do that? When you buy your admission tickets online, you enter promo code Stevens, Stevens, and they'll give you $50 off. Boom, boom. Better yet, if you're thinking of going to the National Strip Till Conference, comment below that you want to be entered in the drawing for one free admission. Ha-ha! Thanks to Lester Media for helping me set up this promotion. Yeah, how fantastic is that? The other cool thing is, August 2nd, we're going up to Precision Planting. You know, VSETS, Precision Planting 2020. Precision, their technology farm, and we're going to get a tour of their, how they work, what the behind the scenes of how they're testing and working on equipment and stuff like that. I was there when I supported AGCO and Fendt, and it was a really cool building. They got a lot of neat stuff going on there, and you get to give the engineers a hard time, like, why didn't you do that? And then you get to ask the engineers some cool questions, like, I have no idea what a question would be right now. I can't think off the top of my head like that. But no, it's really neat. It's well worth it. And so leave your comment below. I'm going to do this promotion several times between now and the date of the drawing. See if we can't get some people in that drawing and go from there. So I can't afford to get into strip till. I understand where people are coming from because I did the same thing. Like, gosh, at that time, 8 years ago, there was no Facebook group for strip till. There was hardly any mentions online about it, and there definitely wasn't a used section in like Tractor House and stuff. I mean, strip till been around for a lot of years in other parts of the country. Just up here, there was a neighbor down the road that was in it to a few years ahead of me, and then another neighbor across the road saw what they were doing. They're like, "That is slick." They jumped on the bandwagon right away. And so the three of us jumped on that real quick. And it just, there's no looking back. So we use FinPack numbers, Farm Business Management and FinPack numbers. If you Google FinPack data from Universities for Agriculture stuff, it gives you cash flows that you wouldn't believe. There's numbers in them cash flows you're not even thinking about that your banker is looking at. And on that FinPack, our first year, $100 per acre in savings by going to strip till. You can't afford not to be into strip till, besides the fact that, one, tremendously more time with your family. That's a big deal. I am rooting for every small family farmer to be able to succeed, to bring the next generation back home so they don't have to go to college and leave the farm, and we can start feeding our communities and bring small towns back. I know I live in fantasy land, but that's my dream. And strip till is a powerful tool. It's a fantastic water management tool. It is the most powerful from conventional till to soil health tool I can find. It is the greatest nutrient management tool. And man, it is a farm saver. It is realistically a farm saver. For us small family farms, you don't need RTK, different video. We don't worry about yield, different video. Just as far as dollars and cents goes, right off the top, we cut our P&K in half because the University of Minnesota already had some data on that. We cut our nitrogen by 20% in the beginning. We're getting a lot better with nitrogen now that we know what we know about cover crops, soil health, the fallacy of our feeding based upon crop removal rates and things like that. We're way cheaper now. We're compared to where we were on pounds to the acre, 8 years ago to where we are now. We're growing way more bushels on tremendously less inputs. And as far as a soil health tool, it's a lifesaver. It is a lifesaver. And so I don't know. I don't want to get into yield. I don't want to get into some of the other topics because they'll be their own topic. But just looking at our FinPack, looking at our farm business management, looking at labor per hour, looking at horsepower per acre, fuel per acre, we are several gallons an acre less than where we used to be. Time-wise, so how we used to do it was Dad would start digging on like a Thursday and Friday. He'd start scratching with the digger to warm and dry all the soil. So then Saturday when I was here, because I couldn't work the farm during the week when I was doing construction. So Saturday I would start broadcasting fertilizer and he would start chasing with the finisher, and then I'd turn around and start chasing with the planter. And that took a lot of time. Planting was usually delayed, and then if you hit that wet spell, then you're screwed till that wet spell gets done, and then we had to go back out and re-warm and dry the soil again. And at $9 per acre per pass of the finisher, $6 per acre per pass with the broadcast cart. The strip till was similar cost to the acre as our primary tillage, but you still reduced 3 passes right up front. We took it, did a little bit different. Some fields we eliminated the second pass with the broadcaster for another $6 in savings. Other fields we came in with the sprayer and started Y dropping, so that was back to that. That's a wash. But yeah, when you think about it, when you come home from work, instead of chasing that dust, wearing that tractor out, there was a lot of sleepless nights. I had a lot of nights thinking, oh my gosh, this 8450 and this DMI for primary tillage, the 8450 and the old 1010 field cultivator and the Mulchmaster could cover a lot of acres in a day. But the 8450 and the DMI, if we were looking at adding acres, we were just like, how are we going to afford to add acres? We got to get more acres for a couple years before we can afford to buy the next horsepower to pull the DMI faster. And you actually stressed a little bit about that. So when we went to strip till, you're thinking like, gosh, I'm pulling 15 feet with the 8450, 6 miles an hour, throttled back, hardly putting labor on the tractor, versus pulling 17 feet with that DMI of pulling the ever-living hell out of that 8450, thinking if this tractor breaks down, we're screwed. Because one, we can't afford to fix it, can't afford to replace it. It just has to keep working for us. And then we started strip tilling, and you're like, this is insane. Like, we're using half the fuel for that process. And now Dad was starting to strip on Thursday and Friday. So Saturday I come home, I just start planting. So we were actually getting the crop in a week to 2 weeks earlier by going to strip till. And there's no looking back. There's so many little things you don't think about that when you're looking from the outside in on strip till. There's so many of them little things that you're not thinking about. But after we're successfully moved into strip till, I mean, it was year one. We did 1 year, our first year of doing some fields in strip till, and we're like, holy crap, these results don't lie. And I remember I started doing business with a different seed guy at the time, and so I was kind of with several seed people at the time, and he comes over in the fall, and he's like, your corn is so green in the fall. Like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm pulling back on nitrogen. That's what I'm doing. I don't know. I don't understand what's happening. All I know is I put 20% out less than what they recommended, and that corn is getting greener by the day as we get closer to the killing frost. And when you look across the road to the corn that all their fertility was put in front of the planter, pre-plant fertility, them things were smoking, they were firing bottom leaves like crazy. It always had a little bit of tip back, and the stand just was not that impressive. And being new in the strip till, you're like, I don't get what's going on, but I like what I see. And so, yeah. So, guys, short video, leaving it right there. You got to do your numbers. Look at your passes you're doing across the farm. Look at the fertility that you're buying across the farm. And you cut your PK and sulfur in half on day one with that strip till if you're trying to save money. And if you're not trying to save money, don't cut back. That's up to you. There is no rule that you have to cut back on fertilizer. If you think that you need to keep applying crop removal rates so you can build fertility in the soil, knock yourself out. You keep doing it, because you'll be tremendously better off with all that fertilizer down in the root zone versus up in the top couple inches where it gets dried up and isn't useful anyhow. And so, yeah, if you're telling yourself you can't afford to get into strip till, you can't afford not to get into strip till. And so, boom, we're going to end it right there. Thanks, guys.